Liberal states are collapsing as people are fleeing Democrat-ruined cities in droves. In this video, we're going to take a look at how three of the most liberal states in the nation are utterly collapsing, how people are fleeing their imploding cities and moving to conservative states, and why it does appear that far from bringing their liberal politics with them, these newcomers are more determined than ever to keep liberalism as far away from them as possible. You're not going to want to miss this. Welcome, everyone. A continued Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. The happiest of New Year's. Dr. Steve here, ready to bring you our latest episode celebrating the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. We'd love to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we focus on optimism and encouragement in the midst of all the defeatist fake news nonsense spewed out by the mainstream media. But first, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's Prepper's Peak new solar water heater. Now, with all the lockdowns that we've been witnessing over the last several months, this solar water heater can turn out to be our very best friend. The solar water heater is an amazing device. It allows you to heat and boil water outdoors using simply sunlight. You can heat water in as little as 30 minutes and it'll work anywhere the sun shines. You could use it to boil water, to cook noodles and rice. You could sterilize water for drinking. It's easy to use. It could be used anywhere there's sunlight. And the best part of it is that if you click on the link below, you'll actually get an additional 20% off their already reduced price. So don't wait. It's a limited time offer. Click on that link below before they sell out and get your own Patriot Sun cooker today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. The Washington Examiner published a very interesting article on the collapse of liberal left-wing Democrat-dominated states throughout the nation. And this is paralleling a number of articles on how more and more people are fleeing Democrat-ruined cities. The three major states that the article focuses on are Illinois, New York, and of course, California. These are the three major leftist states that are basically imploding when it comes to their respective populations. As far as Illinois is concerned, check these stats out. Despite the fact that the population has been growing in the United States over the last decade, Illinois has lost a net of over 300,000 residents over the last 7 years and 250,000 since the last census. Both numbers are larger than any city in the state for the exception of Chicago, and we're even seeing Chicago beginning to implode. For example, Chicago's Englewood neighborhood, okay? It's one of the more depressed areas of Chicago, and that's saying something for sure. It has a poverty rate of around 44%. It's more than double that of Chicago's median unemployment rate of 20%. Absolutely depressed area. At its height in 1960, it had nearly 100,000 residents within its approximately 3 square miles. Today, barely 30,000 people live there. I mean, it's just completely imploding area of an increasingly imploding city. Macy's has announced that they're officially leaving downtown Chicago after all the riots. Bloomingdale's as well is closing up on its downtown location. Illinois' high taxes have long been a bone of contention among business owners who've been increasingly leaving the state and going south, which is much more welcoming business climate like Texas. And as a result, look at this. Chicago is almost $1 billion in the red. They're facing a massive budget shortfall of over $700 million. And that's most likely just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, it's just going to get worse. Chicago and Illinois as a whole are infamous for corruption and stagnant labor unions, and so people are fleeing en masse. But Illinois is just where things begin in terms of the mass exodus from left-wing states. Since 2015, New York has lost an astonishing 320,000 residents. That's just in the last 5 years. And we can see precisely where they're losing population. That, of course, is New York City. It's almost becoming commonplace now to read articles declaring the death of the city. It's estimated that between March and May of this year, get this, between the months of March and May, okay, 3 months, New York lost almost 500,000 residents. An estimated 420,000 residents left the city. In July, there was a record 13,000 apartment vacancies across Manhattan. New lease signings fell by nearly 25%. New York City has seen its average real estate sale price fall by an astonishing 17.7% since February. CNBC reported a couple of months back the coronavirus epidemic was causing New York's wealthy to leave the city. They're basically taking their families and, yes, their money, and they're moving to the surrounding suburbs and exurbs to escape the crowded lifestyle that became such a hotspot for the coronavirus and made them also so vulnerable to the violence that swept the city during the race riots over the summer. And they have good reason to feel vulnerable. Since those race riots broke out, New York City's murder rate skyrocketed 50% just in the month of July alone. Shootings surged by more than 358% in mid-June when compared to the same time last year. It's an almost 400% increase in shootings in New York City. And of course, the ultra-left mayor there, Bill de Blasio, he responded to all this by how? Cutting $1 billion from the New York City Police Department. He cut $1 billion, and that's all while the murder rate in New York City was literally skyrocketing. The murder rate is skyrocketing, the shooting rates are skyrocketing. They have a mayor who actually believes that the appropriate response to all this is to cut $1 billion from the police department budget. Now, needless to say, sane people who've not been infected with Trump derangement syndrome or cultural Marxism, sane people are leaving New York City in droves. And as a result, we're beginning to see this once great city implode. How about California? All right, how's it going over in the Golden State? Well, it's about as bad as you would think. According to the U.S. Census, every year for the past 15 years, an average number of 100,000 Californians leave the state as over and against those who move in. California has been hemorrhaging residents every year for the last 15 years. We saw this most recently with people like Joe Rogan and Elon Musk. They've both taken off for Texas. And again, we're seeing the exodus primarily in their cities. San Francisco rent prices for a one-bedroom apartment have dropped by an astounding 11.8% in the last year and are continuing to fall. We've also seen residential vacancy rates nearly double. They've jumped from 3.9% to 6.2%, and commercial rental vacancies have jumped from 5.4% to nearly 10%. In downtown Los Angeles, condo sales have dropped 42%. We could go on and on. I think we're seeing nothing less than the Detroitification of our cities, right? Detroit used to be a vibrant city. Today, it's depressed and dilapidated, which, as it turns out, is becoming the model for what's happening to virtually all of our Democrat-run cities throughout the nation, but most especially, of course, the ones in these leftist liberal states. Now, the $10,000 question then is whether these largely cosmopolitan liberals who are fleeing these cities and these states, are they bringing their liberal politics with them to the more conservative states and exurbs that they're moving to? It appears that the answer is an emphatic no. And we'll get into that in a moment, but I want to personally invite you to our exclusive New Year's virtual conference on January 9th, 2021 to help you feel prepared for the year ahead. We've got some amazing guest speakers lined up. We've got the amazing Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano. He'll be with us. He's the one who got the ball rolling by spearheading the Gettysburg hearings. He was recently at the White House. He said that President Trump is more determined than ever to win this thing. So Senator Mastriano will be with us, as well as Ian Smith, the New Jersey gym owner, defying their governor's tyrannical lockdown orders. So we are bringing you guys from the front lines, patriots, fighting on the front lines for you and for me. Now, seating for the conference is limited. Seats are going fast. And to make it even better, you can save 30% off your registration as part of our New Year's special. So don't wait. Make sure to click on that link below and take advantage of our New Year's registration special. And you'll be glad to know that a portion of the proceeds will go to help Good Neighbors Home Repair. So not only are you going to be blessed by this, but you're going to be blessing others with your registration as well. So do not wait. Click on that link below and register for our New Year's virtual conference today. All right, now, as to the question of whether those fleeing these left-wing states and cities are bringing their liberal politics with them. The studies have yet to come out in answer to that question definitively, but we do have some anecdotal evidence that may answer this as an emphatic no. They're not bringing their left-wing attitudes with them, right? These, as we call them, immigrants, fleeing the cities and resettling in some other part of America, and America's conservative states and exurbs, they look like they are adopting a highly defensive posture in their politics. In other words, their politics are now all about defending themselves from the urban and liberal rot that they've fled. Here's some anecdotal evidence for you, all right? It's no secret gun sales have absolutely surged in 2020. But as part of that unprecedented surge, there are now nearly 5 million first-time gun buyers. The National Instant Criminal Background Check System database from January of this year through to July found that, get this, over 12 million background checks were conducted. 40% of those 12 million were first-time background checks, making up nearly 5 million brand new first-time gun owners. And the numbers have gone up since then. This is going back 6 months ago. And here's the key. How many of these first-time gun owners do you think plan on voting for the Democrats, the ones who are promising to take their guns away from them? One commentator says it all, quote, "This is a tectonic shift in the firearm and ammunition industry marketplace and complete transformation of today's gun-owning community. These first-time buyers represent a group of people who, until now, were agnostic regarding firearm ownership." What we appear to be seeing here, the research seems still out on this, but what we seem to be seeing here is that more and more de-urbanized populations are taking defensive postures in terms of their politics, and they're not going to want to have anything to do with these leftist liberal policies. So I'm glad to say that we're seeing leftist liberal states beginning to implode, and with that implosion, we can be sure that any political influence they may have had over our nation will continue to implode as well. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you'll definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded it on how Senator Josh Hawley is rising up and pledging to object to Biden's electors on January the 6th. You are not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you there. God bless.